All right, Eagles fans, buckle up, because things in Philadelphia have gone from exciting to downright electric. You can feel it in the city right now. That buzz, that anticipation that only football can bring. Every single season, we hear whispers, we hear trade rumors, but this year it's been on another level. The noise around the Eagles before the trade deadline was absolutely deafening, and it turns out, for good reason. Because this might just be the most active and aggressive we've ever seen Howie Roseman at an NFL trade deadline. The man was on a mission, moving like he had a personal vendetta against silence. Coming into the week, Philly had already made 3 moves that turned heads all across the league. First, on Wednesday, they went out and snagged cornerback Michael Carter from the New York Jets to solidify the slot. Then Saturday rolled around, and they made another move for corner Jair Alexander from the Ravens, adding even more depth and experience to that secondary. And just when you thought Howie might take a breath, Monday hit, and boom, the Birds went and traded for edge rusher Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins. 3 trades in less than a week, and every single one of them filled a real need. That's not luck. That's calculated, aggressive, championship-level roster building. Now, all 3 moves make sense for the team. Each one has potential to pay off big time. But let's be honest, the one that's got everyone talking, the one that really shook things up, is Jalen Phillips. Because this guy is built different. The moment news broke that he was coming to Philly, fans were fired up, and Jalen? He's just as hyped. The man jumped on social media right after the trade and posted a picture with the caption, "Philly, what's good? Excited to get to work and grateful for the opportunity to play for such a storied franchise. Go Birds." That's the kind of energy you love to see. Not only is he talented, but he's already bought into what this city is about. Passion, grit, and never backing down. When Phillips landed in Philly, you could see the excitement all over his face. He talked about how surreal it was to get that call, how this was the one team he'd love to play for, and you could tell it wasn't just lip service. He's genuinely pumped to be an Eagle. He mentioned how much respect he's got for the organization, the fan base, and the history behind that midnight green jersey. And then, of course, there's the Vic Fangio connection. Phillips has worked with Fangio before, and that chemistry could be huge. He called Fangio one of his favorite coaches he's ever had and said he can't wait to be back in that system, to pick up where they left off. That's exactly what this defense needed. A guy who already knows the system, trusts it, and fits it perfectly. And you can just tell from the way he talks, he's ready to grind. He said straight up that he's coming in humble, ready to earn respect from his teammates and from Eagles fans. That's the Philly mentality right there. You don't come in expecting love, you earn it. You put your head down, work your tail off, and make plays. That's exactly what he intends to do. But beyond the attitude, let's talk about production, because this guy isn't just talk. Jalen Phillips has been an absolute problem for offensive linemen all season long. His pass rush win rate sits at nearly 20%, and his pressure rate is just over 18%, both numbers ranking first among all Eagles defensive linemen this year. That's not a typo. He's leading one of the most stacked defensive fronts in football. And if that wasn't enough, he's also tied for first in the entire NFL in quarterback hurries. Think about that for a second. You're adding a guy who consistently wins his battles, pressures the quarterback, and does it with a combination of power, finesse, and relentless motor. And now he's stepping into a line that already features monsters like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, and Brandon Graham. That's unfair. That's terrifying for opposing quarterbacks. When you line up against that group, who do you double team? Who do you focus on? Someone's going to get a free lane every snap, and my bet is that Phillips is going to feast. When you take a guy that talented and give him teammates who command attention, you're unlocking his full potential. Even analysts are raving about the move. You look at his tape, and you can see why. He doesn't stumble into sacks, he creates them. He's got a full arsenal of pass rush moves. That club and arm over combo, the spin, the bend around the edge, all of it looks sharp and deliberate. He studies his craft. He commits moves to memory. And that's what separates a good player from a great one. He's only 26 years old, but he already plays with the maturity of a veteran. He understands how to set up an offensive lineman across multiple plays, bait him, and then beat him with technique, not just athleticism. And here's the crazy part. He's not even just a pass rusher. Phillips can stop the run, too. You watch the film, and you'll see him manhandling tight ends, setting the edge, forcing running backs to cut back inside. He's not just finesse. He's physical, aggressive, and disciplined. That versatility makes him even more valuable, especially in Vic Fangio's defense, which thrives on players who can do multiple things and disguise their roles. And let's not overlook the value the Eagles got here. Phillips is still on a manageable contract, and the team now holds the first right of refusal when his deal is up. If he performs the way many expect him to, the Eagles can lock him in long-term, probably without having to break the bank given his recent injury history. So you're looking at a potential long-term addition to the defense, a first-round caliber pass rusher in his prime, for what amounts to a relatively low-risk, high-reward trade. That's the definition of smart front office work. And even if, for whatever reason, he only ends up being a half-season rental, the Eagles are still likely to get a compensatory pick down the road if he signs elsewhere. It's the kind of move where no matter how you slice it, Philly wins. Either he becomes a star here, or you recoup value later. It's a classic Howie Roseman special, forward-thinking, aggressive, and perfectly timed. So now, coming out of the bye week, this defense is about to look very different, and in the best possible way. They're getting Phillips, Nolan Smith coming back from injury, Jair Alexander and Michael Carter joining the secondary, plus veterans like Brandon Graham re-entering the rotation. That's a serious injection of talent. You can't tell me opposing offenses aren't watching that film right now and getting nervous. Fangio finally has the pieces to make his system work exactly how he wants it to: fast, versatile, unpredictable, and suffocating. For Eagles fans, it's hard not to get excited about where this team is heading. They're sitting atop the NFC, the chemistry is building, and the defense is shaping up to be one of the most complete units in football. There's still a lot of season left, but the message from the front office is loud and clear: the Eagles are all in. Every move they've made screams that they're chasing another ring, and they're not afraid to spend or risk to get there. It's the kind of mid-season shakeup that could define a team's future, and if Jalen Phillips lives up to the hype, it could define this era of Eagles football. The talent, the fit, the mindset, everything about this move just feels right. While the Jalen Phillips trade stole the spotlight, the week off for the Eagles couldn't have gone much better overall. Sometimes the bye week feels like an empty stretch, a pause in the action, but this time it was like everything around them lined up perfectly. The team made their moves, the roster got stronger, and somehow, almost every result across the league worked in their favor. It's rare to see a weekend where all the right teams lose, but that's exactly what happened. It was like the football gods were wearing midnight green. As the dust settled, the NFC picture shifted dramatically. The Cowboys took another tough loss, this time falling to the Cardinals. The Lions stumbled against the Vikings, the Giants fell to the 49ers, the Packers dropped one to the Panthers, and the Commanders got completely embarrassed by the Seahawks on prime time. Every single outcome played right into Philly's hands. It was a perfect storm of results that gave the Eagles a comfortable cushion atop the NFC East and first place across the conference. But while Philly was celebrating quietly, not everyone had it so easy. That Sunday night game between Washington and Seattle turned ugly, and not just because of the score. The Commanders suffered some truly brutal injuries. Cornerback Marshawn Lattimore tore his ACL and will miss the rest of the season, and their young quarterback Jaden Daniels went down with one of the most gruesome arm injuries you'll ever see. It happened late in the game, garbage time, when the result was already sealed. Just awful luck. Regardless of what colors you wear, nobody wants to see that. The guy had been showing promise, so hopefully he bounces back stronger. The Commanders' season was already teetering before those injuries, but now it feels all but over. Sitting at 3 wins and 6 losses, they'd need a miracle to claw their way back. The vibe around that team is one of frustration and disappointment. Their defense has flashes, but their offense can't stay consistent, and with their quarterback down, it's hard to see a path forward. Meanwhile in Dallas, things are messy too. They're not out of the race mathematically, but sitting at 5 wins and 1 tie, they're far behind the Eagles in the standings. You can tell Jerry Jones isn't ready to wave the white flag yet, though, because he made moves at the trade deadline that got the league buzzing. The first one was minor. Dallas sent a 7th-round pick in 2026 to the Bengals for linebacker Logan Wilson. It's not a headline move, but it's something. Wilson had some strong years in Cincinnati, especially during their playoff runs, but lately he's been a step slow, even losing his starting spot. Maybe a change of scenery helps him, but it's not exactly the kind of move that transforms a defense overnight. But just when fans started to shrug, Jerry went big. He pulled off a blockbuster deal that nobody saw coming. The Cowboys traded former first-round defensive tackle Motzie Smith, a second-round pick in 2026, and a first-round pick in 2027 to the Jets for All-Pro defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. That's right, Quinnen Williams is now in Dallas. And say what you want about the Cowboys, but that's a massive addition. Williams is one of the best interior linemen in the league. He's quick off the snap, strong against the run, and can collapse a pocket like few others. Even when the sack numbers aren't flashy, his impact shows up on every play. It was shocking, though, to see Jones go this route. He just handed out big money to Kenny Clark and now is doing the same for Williams, while still holding off on paying Micah Parsons, their own superstar pass rusher. It's a strange set of priorities. You'd think Parsons would be the first guy they'd lock up long-term, but apparently, Dallas wanted another big name on the defensive line instead. Maybe it's a strategy to beef up the trenches, or maybe it's just Jerry trying to make a statement. Either way, Williams is a game changer, and he's going to make that Dallas front scary. Still, it doesn't solve everything. The Cowboys' problems this year have been more about inconsistency and execution than talent. They've had breakdowns in coverage, struggles on third down, and an offense that sometimes vanishes for quarters at a time. Williams can't fix all that by himself. And across the rest of the league, it was pure chaos. The Titans sent pass rusher Draymond Jones to the Ravens for a fifth-round pick in 2026, giving Baltimore yet another weapon for that terrifying defense. If the Eagles hadn't landed Phillips, that's the kind of move that might have been on their radar. The Jets made waves too, trading star cornerback Sauce Gardner to the Colts in exchange for 2 first-round picks and wide receiver Adonai Mitchell. That one turned heads everywhere. Sauce is one of the best young corners in the league, but it's clear the Jets are thinking long-term now, stockpiling picks and building for the future after a rough season. Some Eagles fans wondered if Philly should have made a push for Gardner, but honestly, that never would have made sense. Between the cap hit, the future extensions due for key players, and the sheer cost of 2 first-rounders, that's just not a Howie Roseman kind of move. He's aggressive, sure, but he's not reckless. The Eagles are built on balance. You can't go all in on one player if it jeopardizes the rest of the roster. And with so many talented corners already on the roster, adding Sauce would have been overkill, not to mention financially impossible. The Colts, though, they get a shutdown corner to build around, and the Jets walk away with draft capital and a young receiver to develop. Both sides win, but the Eagles were right to sit that one out. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments, and let's talk birds. In what could be the most shocking offseason move in recent memory, the Philadelphia Eagles have reportedly pulled off a stunning acquisition that has left the NFL world buzzing. Defensive powerhouse Myles Garrett. Sources close to the team suggest that negotiations were fast and furious, culminating in a deal that has fans, analysts, and rival front offices scrambling to process what this could mean for the upcoming season. Garrett, one of the league's most dominant pass rushers, has been a consistent game-changer since entering the NFL. Known for his combination of speed, strength, and football IQ, his presence on the Eagles' defensive line could instantly elevate a team that has been searching for that final piece to contend at the highest level. Rumors indicate that the Eagles' front office went all in, making it clear they are serious about championship aspirations. Some insiders whisper that the deal could involve multiple high-round draft picks or key players, though nothing has been officially confirmed. The buzz around the league is palpable. Analysts are already speculating how Garrett's fit with the Eagles' defensive schemes could disrupt offenses across the NFC. Social media erupted within minutes of the news, with fans creating viral threads imagining the havoc Garrett could unleash on quarterbacks in the division. Meanwhile, some skeptics caution that integrating such a high-profile player comes with challenges, including salary cap implications and chemistry with existing defensive stars. But if anyone can make it work, Philadelphia's aggressive front office might just be the team to pull it off. This move also sends a strong signal to the rest of the NFL. The Eagles are not here to play it safe. It's a bold, headline-grabbing statement that echoes back to some of the league's most audacious trades in history. While Garrett has made headlines before for his on-field dominance, This chapter in Philadelphia could define a new era of defensive supremacy. As the story develops, all eyes will remain on the Eagles' headquarters. Will this gamble pay off? Could Garrett finally find a home that matches his talent with the team's ambitions? One thing is certain, the NFL offseason just got a lot more interesting, and Philadelphia has firmly planted itself at the center of the conversation. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.